But anyways, let's move on now to the Seahawks, and this is one now their season's done, and what a remarkable season! Like all things considered, they do have a top 5 pick, as everyone predicted in the preseason. However, it's not their initial pick; it's the Broncos who they traded with. Somehow they made it to the playoffs. I think the Seahawks were one of 2 teams. I think they were the team voted with the least amount of talent, or top 3. I think going into the season, and projected top 3 pick. And for them to come around and make the playoffs, kudos to Pete Carroll, kudos to Geno Smith, kudos to DK Metcalf, like that entire offense and the defense for really just playing great football, and just scratching and clawing. I think they've made some great moves to help them out for the future, getting Charles Cross as a tackle. Kenneth Walker, I think, has been a hit. I think he's going to keep growing. And for me personally, there's a lot of talk on what's going to happen here. With their quarterback situation come draft time, also with Geno Smith. And for me, I think Geno Smith did everything you asked of him to warrant another year or 2 at the helm, because they still need to improve on the offensive line. They definitely still need to improve defensively with that 3rd or 5th pick now. Yeah, it's the 5th pick because Denver won. You're still going to have access to some of the top defensive linemen, top edge rushers to help immediately on the defensive side. Then you have the 2nd first-round pick. It's going to be, I think, 19th-ish, depending on what happens here, maybe 20th. And you can go get another receiver because Tyler Lockett's going out. You can get offensive line. You can meet a lot of needs and still keep Geno Smith, who I think proved himself as to be a top 32 quarterback, a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL, especially at least within this system.
He had an above average year. I mean, looking at his stats, I think he threw 30.
Well, and I'm just saying that even if he regresses a little bit, I think he would still be well above, like, trying to get a rookie quarterback and then just throwing him in there, or trying to get a more veteran quarterback, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think getting a rookie quarterback does anything for them. Because even if he goes back, so he threw 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Even if he goes 25 and like 13, I still think they're in a really similar situation with the way that the team was playing, because they weren't great on defense, but they were opportunistic. Tariq Woolen had a great year, top-rated PFF cornerback in the NFL. And I think if they have another draft like they did this past year, like you said, getting contributors on both sides of the football, and having guys come in and be not just starting, but like actively contributing on a regular basis, I think in a year or 2, they'll be much more ready to bring in a young quarterback to mentor and move into the future with. So I think that is the route to go. I think they're at 5. Is that correct?
5 and probably 20th.
5 and 20.
Yeah.
So with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud most likely going in the top 5, you will have a decent shot at Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, and then who's the other edge rusher?
Tyree Wilson.
Yeah, Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, right?
Yep. Yeah. There's another one as well. Miles Murphy, I think, from Clemson.
Yeah.
Is also there. Yeah.
Whatever suits your fancy. If you want another tackle, you can get Peter Skoronski, or
Paris Johnson from Ohio State. Yeah. I think Broderick Jones, also from Georgia, I think has declared. Yeah.
There is a right tackle specialist coming up in later in the rounds from Ohio State. I forget his name as well.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But you can get him in the 2nd or 3rd round just because a true right tackle isn't as valuable as a top performing left tackle. So for me, I think that they have a lot of options with that 5 pick. I think they will most likely miss out on C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young.
See, and that's where, from my standpoint, even if they are available, I wouldn't take them. I would stick with Geno Smith. And I would be along the camp if Anthony Richardson is still available at 20th. Then that I think would be a perfect guy he's a very raw prospect. I think you have that kind of bonus pick to play with.
Yeah.
And then you can still give Geno Smith a 2-year contract and have Anthony Richardson get NFL experience and grow him kind of into that starting quarterback. Then when that contract is done with Geno Smith, then you can hand the reins over to Anthony Richardson. And he has an established NFL caliber team with him, so to say.
Yeah, no. I 100% agree. I like Anthony Richardson better than Will Levis, but Will Levis is probably going to be a top 15 pick.
Well, we'll have to see once the combines come out, and Trayvon Walker last year was a fringe first round pick, once after the Super Bowl, and then within a couple days before the draft, he was then the overall consensus number 1 pick. I don't know.
Agree.
Yeah, so anything can happen between mid-February to late April.
Yeah, just from what I've seen on tape, Will Levis, what I've heard around the league, Will Levis is a very popular prospect just because of his physical skills.
Yeah.
But I think if they can have 2 solid first round picks this year and next year, they can even move up next year in the draft. Because unless Sean Payton goes to Denver, I don't see Denver improving that much.
Yeah.
So actually, if they get good coaching in there, I could see them making it.
Yeah. We'll just have to see. It's it's going to be very interesting to kind of see what Seattle does. I think there's a lot of different routes they could go. They're in the driver's seat, though. I think that I think Pete Carroll kind of established the respect that he had gotten from when he first became the Seahawks coach. I think Seahawks started to dive down. There's a lot of questions about Pete Carroll. I know myself even questioned it as well. And now I think he did a phenomenal job, especially as we talked about. This defense was so-so, but with not great talent on the field, and yet they produced. Tyreek Woolen had a great season as well. Still areas that they can clearly improve on. Defensive line, in particular, is one that really needs attention, especially in that division as well.
They need to beef up the trenches a lot, especially in that division because they got to play the Rams. Although it might look like Aaron Donald has retired. I don't know if you've heard about that, but
I think he probably is. Yeah.
Yeah. So also he's 32. I didn't realize he was that old. Anyways, so I think that's a division that they are going to need strong offensive and defensive lines to really compete for the top. If you look at San Francisco right now,
San Francisco's the top dog.
Nuts. Yeah, they're just top dog.
If they want to contend with San Francisco for the division, they're going to need to beef up the offensive line and defensive line, no question. That's not even going to be – because honestly, skill position player-wise, San Francisco is superior, but not by much. Because I think Kenneth Walker is a good running back. And he's not better than Christian McCaffrey, yes. DK Metcalf, you can argue, is probably a better pure receiver than anything that San Francisco has. Tight end, George Kittle is one of the best tight ends in the league. Tight end, you just need a guy that can help contribute and be consistent. And so if you can find a future George Kittle, then that would be great, obviously. But I digress. Maybe Michael Mayer from Notre Dame, if he's available with that 20th pick.
That'd be a great one.
That I think would be a good addition. But Seattle, though, great season. Kind of that was kind of one of those. It's great to be here at type moments.